friends. Today, I have a juicy conversation to share with you. This one is with my friend Carlee Murrell. She's a fitness trainer, a coach, and a retreat host. And her approach to fitness has changed over the years, and now it's about way more than just aesthetics. In this episode, we talk about emotional resilience, sustainable movement, embodiment after transformation, and how to turn normal things like walking, breath work, and even just doing the dishes into devotion. If you've ever felt stuck between going all in at the gym and a face plant into a pint of Ben and Jerry's, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Hi, Carlee.
Hi, Dee.
No, really, I am so happy to see your beautiful face and you. I've been following you around the world, on Instagram and wanting to catch up. And your one of your last posts was just hit me in all the feels. It resonated so hard with your kind of philosophy and approach to fitness these days. So before we get too far there, why don't you introduce yourself to my fabulous audience and tell them all about you and your journey so far.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Admittedly, a little nervous, but I am just ready to just let it flow and see what
That's
this
right.
conversation.
Yeah.
The feeling is going to be so good.
Yeah.
So, hi everybody. My name is Carlee. I have been a personal trainer since 2017, and I started my own fitness journey just out of a purely aesthetic. I just wanted to be hot. I wanted to feel confident.
Check and check.
And
And
here,
there you are. And it works. Yeah.
but through my own fitness journey and working with hundreds of people these past almost 10 years, I've just really come to find how much deeper the medicine goes. And if you start out as purely aesthetic, it's not going to really be a lifestyle. Um, it's not going to be as sustainable. Recently, and in regards to my last post, I've been doing a lot of soul searching this last year of my life. Been to Bali 3 times in the last 2 years, and really just come to see that how I move my body and what I put inside of my body, be that food, music, hydration, the energy and people I surround myself with, what I'm reading, all of those things, it's really a main line to my energy. And really looking at health and fitness is more of gateways to self-love and emotional resilience and self-mastery, and really looking at them as rituals of devotion rather than obligation, restriction, discipline, like all of these really rigid, seemingly masculine words. Nothing wrong with masculinity. It's nice to have a good balance of both. But I think that especially women and women in business, we can really operate from our masculine energy. And I believe how we do one thing is how we do everything. So I've really been trying to slow down and find flow in the last few years of my life. And it has come with a ton of challenges. But again, it just really made me go even deeper and really look into a lot of practices and things that I do, even beyond fitness and nutrition, but spiritual practices and astrology and tarot and it's like we were saying before the call. It's just, there's so much that makes us us. And it's our mind, it's our body, it's our spirit, it's all of the things. So I've really been trying to look at personal training as a holistic, full body, full spirit thing that we are getting curious about. It's really a journey of self-exploration, and it's never done.
For sure. For
That's
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, so much there. And I see as you're talking that, you're unpacking a lot and you're still unpacking,
Yeah.
right?
We're
And
parsing a lot out right now.
right? Yeah. And I get that it can be really overwhelming. And so most of the people that I have been sort of speaking to in this on this podcast have been people in the bariatric community because I had bariatric surgery myself, and prior to that, my exercise was either all in at the gym, lifting heavy, training for a marathon, for endurance, like all of the things, all of the days. And that lasts for a year, maybe two. And then I fall face first into a vat of Ben and Jerry's, and it's over for a while. And
Mhm.
then I pick myself up, several years later and try it again. And bariatric surgery, by the time I got to do that, I have been very trying to find that middle ground of what
Mhm.
is going to be a sustainable practice for the rest of my life.
Mhm.
And one of the things I found, and it's true that moving our bodies is a really important thing. Moving those muscles, using the muscles to help preserve the muscles, especially as some of us get older and really need to be mindful of that. On the other hand, it's not going to happen if I don't enjoy it.
Mm.
And so finding joy in whatever the thing is, and it doesn't have to be going to the gym or whatever. And one of the first things I found was just simply going for a walk.
Mm.
And and I found for myself in the beginning of this, iteration of my wellness, and specifically my physical wellness journey, was that it wasn't about my physical wellness at all, that it ended up really being more about my mental health.
Mm.
Going out and getting that walk by myself, um, outside in the sun, doesn't matter if it's rain or snow or ice or, whatever the thing is, I needed that for my mental wellness. And I hadn't really experienced that before. Um, and that was just sort of my first little guidepost into viewing movement, or getting an experience in my body that affected more than just, like you say, an aesthetic or something that I think I'm supposed to do. So I think that there's a whole, now in the bariatric community, there's just a huge range of experiences, as there are in the world of normals. And that is that really people are looking um, for ways to be in this new body. So those of us who had previously lived in bigger bodies, I'll speak only for myself, had a lot of shame around that, and a lot of, body issues. And some people don't like to be hugged or touched or looked at or whatever, and others do. And then you get into this new body, and it's um, it's not something they can really prepare you for, but it's a whole new relationship that gets cracked open and can bring up a lot of feelings that, by the way, also don't really, there's no way to prepare for that before surgery, but surgery definitely fast forwards the challenges to overcome. So I know when I first met you, and just you're so inspiring with your approach to health and physics, and that was, over a year ago. But I really am so curious now, because you used to, and I know that you do still go to the gym and you find joy in that and all of that. Um, where are you now, like right now, with your own fitness?
So right now, I love kettlebells. I have been for the last few years. They are such a great at-home gym piece. You don't need a lot to make a lot happen. They don't take up a ton of space, but they're also like this art form to me. Like they're challenging, but they also like they take power, but they also take like some skill and finesse, and they take a while to master. So I also am like, cool, I've got like a path and a thing to work towards for a while. So I train consistently twice a week. Maybe I get a third in, but I don't really put a ton of pressure on it. I'm at a point in my fitness where I've put a lot of muscle on my body, so I'm in a more of a maintenance phase. Um, and then oh yeah, I'm the same with walks. I love a double dip is what I call it. So it's like not only am I getting movement in, but I'm also lowering my cortisol. I'm treating my circadian rhythm. I'm clearing my mind with those walks. So I try to get 10K a day. And then I do a run every once in a while, maybe a few a month. Love to go for hikes, love to go out dancing. I'm doing the Hood to Coast relay for my 6th year in a row. My sister and I have a team, so that is the biggest relay race in the world, 199 miles from Timberline Lodge all the way to Seaside. We got 12 team members, 3 legs per teammate. And that's just like, it's a type 2 fun. But a fun thing that we do that's really challenging. And again, with the emotional resilience piece of like, I can do hard things. So I know I can do more hard things in other areas of my life. And then nutrition is just, I prioritize my protein at every meal. I'm making sure I got a veggie and or a fruit at each meal. So I really have just created like little like parameters or little bumpers down the bowling aisle of just what I kind of I call them like my non-negotiables for
Yeah.
either my daily or my weekly. So that's what
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I really appreciated, well, a couple of, I mean, I appreciate a lot that you say it, but just here you mentioned dancing and emotional resilience. So I want to go back to the dancing and how, again, people think that they have to go into the gym or they have to lift weights or they have to do some prescriptive kind of um,
Routine or program.
movement. Yeah, movement that is what we would normally associate with exercise or movement. But I'm realizing there is such a whole world available to us. We don't have to go, I mean, all of that is possible. But for instance, my first guest on the podcast, Samantha, she ended up discovering after surgery that she loves MMA training and never would have considered it before, but ended up, going to jujitsu with her son and discovering this whole world. Try a class and see
Mhm.
what you think. Another guest of mine, I mean, gotten into serious bodybuilding, and she is amazing. And so, whatever path you find, but just going dancing or dance in your living room for a while or yoga, some stretching, or I mean, I actually just had an amazing experience this last weekend with breath work and
Mhm.
how it controls the CO2 and the oxygen. So it does have this actual effect physically on our system. And breath work in general and the way it's done can have an impact on our lymph system where we might actually biologically hold emotions, hold some of those receptors in those lymph systems that have been clogged up. And so by moving that through, that in itself is body work. And I never got off of the couch. But it was just this focused practice. And so I appreciated that you're like, go dancing, go, I mean, do anything that is moving. And I'm really interested to hear what other kinds of things have you seen your clients, experiment with?
I totally agree with you that it's like, let's find something that maybe you don't, maybe even enjoy is like pushing it,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
something that is not like, you don't have to go to the gym. The gym can start out as feeling like a very intimidating place. There's people grunting, there's loud banging weights. You don't know where anything is. I actually explained to one of my clients, she had never been to the gym before and was just like feeling like really out of place. But she'd done a lot of traveling. We had met abroad, and I was like, babe, it's exactly like a new airport. Okay? You don't know where everything is, but you don't feel like stupid for like not knowing where your gate is yet. So why do we put all this pressure on the gym of like, oh, people are gonna know I don't know what I'm doing or where I'm at? And it's like, everyone has to start there, but you don't have to start at the gym. And I think that we need to bring like fun back into your movement. Um, and I think like, when you're talking about like things that are good for your mental health, going for a walk, doing breath work, and actually how we lose fat is yes, through sweat and through, like poo poo and pee pee, but also it's through our breath. It's through
Yeah.
all of that heavy breathing and that CO2 that actually is how we oxidize and lose fat. So anything that's like getting your heart rate up, getting you like puffing and puffing a little bit, just to get you, like you said, like off the couch and moving and not feeling like movement is like this punishment thing. It's more of like, no,
Right.
I'm doing this because I love myself and I have this body, and our bodies can do so much. They can dance, they can walk, they can run, they can jump, they can love, they can cry, they can, you know. So yeah, I think just finding something that brings you joy to get you started. But I will say that building muscle is going to be just the number one thing. It's more important than fat loss. Is
Yeah.
having muscle on your body for your metabolic health, and bone density for women. We start losing bone density as early as our mid 30s. So strength training, having that time under tension is what's going to help build that muscle, give you that toned look that you want. A lot of people too, it's like they're like, I want to be toned. We need muscle to do that. Um, but baby steps, one day at a time. Like you said,
Absolutely.
this is an
Absolutely.
ongoing journey, and there's so many things that you get to try now with this new body. And it's just
Well, and for bariatric post-ops, there's this, at least in the beginning, the surgery has done a lot to get rid of the fat. What we're left with is a lot of skin,
Mhm.
and unless there's plastic surgery that happens, there's really nothing to get rid of that. And you can tone and build all the muscle that you want and everything, and there is always going to be actual dermis. There's skin that doesn't go away. And that can be very disheartening and demotivating. But underneath that is still the body that carries us.
Mhm.
So the muscles, and you mentioned bone density, and this is a really important point for bariatric patients because our calcium is one of the places that we typically don't get enough of. And I had a hard time getting my primary care doctor to order a DEXA scan, which is the test for bone density.
Yeah.
It is not recommended for women until I believe they're 60 is the baseline. But in actuality, it's important for bariatric patients to have that scan done, their baseline, 2 years after surgery. So I had to bring in the studies to give to my doctor and say, no, I actually need to have it now. And that was 2 years ago. And so first test that I got, and I tested low with osteopenia, which is the precursor to osteoporosis. So already I have lost the density in my bones. And the gold standard for rebuilding that is resistance training.
Mhm.
You can dance all you want, you can do lunges in the bathroom, you can do whatever, but it has to be lifting heavy stuff, pushing against heavy stuff, you know. Um, so it's really important.
Mhm.
And so, it's one of those things that this community, I have to harp about because I don't want us to all end up with broken hips in the same rehab ward.
Mhm. It'd be a party, but let's party somewhere
It
else.
would. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I appreciate, we can do hard things.
Mhm.
And it doesn't have to be hateful. It's just new. And, keep trying things. I love your airport analogy. It's so true. Everybody's in the airport looking around at, for what they, you know, can't find. But few people are paying as much attention to us as we
Mhm.
think they are. Tell me more about your about emotional resilience and how it plays a part. How it's linked to physical fitness.
Mhm. Well, like I said, it's when you are stepping outside of your comfort zone and you are going into the gym and you are doing something you haven't done in a long time or you've never done, and you are perceiving it as hard, but you go into that gym and you take a little walk around and you pick up some weights and you put them down, especially too when you're just getting into the gym. Like, you don't have to go in there and like get a full blown workout. Just go in there, get the lay of the land, and leave. And you did that, and that was hard. But then you get to feel this pride and know that I did that hard thing, and it's
It's
just
a dopamine hit.
it
That right
totally.
there is the dopamine hit.
And it's
Yeah.
this little thing that compounds over time and this return on investment. And over time, you go from walking in and walking out to walking in and lifting up some weights and putting them down. And then, you just slowly build up, and it just builds up that dopamine and that reward pleasure centers of the brain. And it builds up more motivation. And it's just this compounding thing over time. And I have seen within myself and other clients, it's just this like phenomenon of like proving to yourself that because I did this one hard thing, I can do more hard things. And before you know it, you might just become a gym person that's like, I had a hard day. I'm going to go to the gym and take it out on some weights. Or I had a great day and I'm going to go for a run because I just feel so good. And yeah.
Yeah. I I was sort of diving into the rabbit hole of emotional resilience, and um, because we can build it in so many ways, whether it's, whatever kind of hard thing, even if it's somebody, says something mean to me, or somebody um, is mad. I've made a mistake myself. I made a mistake, and I, feel badly about that. And it's all of those opportunities to reconcile and to grow from those experiences, right? And so I've been really interested in how some people emotionally can bounce back from some kind of hurt, pain, wound of any kind, and others just have a hard time coming back out of it, right? It just takes a long time. And it's really interesting how doing something in one area of our life affects so many others. So, like you're talking about overcoming that, fear of going out dancing, or that fear of trying a Pilates class, or that fear of putting the yoga, trying the yoga practice on TV or whatever the thing is. Um, those little steps, it's not just that it builds our emotional strength there, it does it everywhere, right?
I totally agree. And I think it also comes down to confidence and gaining back your trust in yourself.
Oh,
And so
huge.
comparing like the movement to then bridging the gap to emotional resilience and being able to, if somebody wrongs you and you're able to kind of brush it off a little bit more because you're confident in yourself.
Mhm.
Or if they were correct and you did mess up, you can own up to it, but it's not coming from this like cowardice place. It's being like, you know what? You're right. And I appreciate you calling me out on that. Or yeah, just having that self-confidence of being like, I stand by what I said.
Yeah.
Um, and I think how we build confidence is trying new things and figuring out what things bring us joy. What are we curious about? What do we want to learn about? What are we working on? Be that ourselves or, this other like thing that we want to, this creative project or something, and just kind of getting curious as to what you like. Because myself, up until a year ago, I didn't really have hobbies. I just was like, I work and I hang out with friends. If someone was like, what do you do for fun? I would be like, I don't know. I like go for a hike or something. But this last few years, I've just been really getting curious as to what I genuinely like. And like you said earlier, not the things I feel like I should be doing, but doing things for myself. And so yeah, again, like we're kind of saying, like it's this, like it's so much bigger than one thing, but it does touch everything else because you're
Yeah.
getting more in touch with yourself and having a deeper connection with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been to Bali 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your, first of all, your physical fitness. How did you go to a completely different place and maintain your fitness, your non-negotiables, especially, and how it changed you spiritually?
Oof. Woo, that second one.
I know.
So I went to Bali for the first time after I arrived on what was supposed to be my wedding day, but I was not married. So if that tells you what happened there. And it was pretty devastating. So I went for a little eat, pray, love, and just kind of like, thought my life was going one way and now I don't know where it's going. So let's go to Bali. And it really just ignited me. I mean, Bali is such a magical place and it definitely has a really big wellness community there. So lots of gyms, lots of yoga, lots of run clubs, very health forward as far as food and nutrition and accessibility to food, because I think that's definitely something that's lacking in the States. But it's just, yeah, just everywhere. Um, and then the second time I went and hosted my first retreat, and that was amazing. I learned so much. And then I was like, all right, I think I want to try and move here. And so, because it is also like the land of entrepreneurs, the land of coaches, the land of like
Oh,
possibilities. Um, and so I came home, packed up. 3 months later, was back in Bali. And then I kind of had this like, oh shit moment where I was like, oh my God, I just did that. Like I had tunnel vision um, up until getting there. And then it was really interesting what happened, to answer your question about the spirituality piece, because so I was going to the gym a lot there because it was also trying to build community and routine. I was working, trying to get my business going online, doing online personal training and getting my retreat business going and planning my second retreat. Um, So I would be at the gym a lot. One of the major bummers was that it's so hot and humid, and the traffic is really crazy where I was staying. There's not really sidewalks, so there wasn't a ton of outdoor walking. But I loved my walks, and so I would be on the treadmill for an hour. And I didn't know that it was possible to like get vertigo getting off the treadmill after being on that thing for an hour. And it just wasn't really serving me. I wasn't out in nature. I wasn't getting the fresh air. And I would just be on my phone the whole time versus outside looking at everything. And actually, when we're walking, it's our eyes are doing REM, random eye movement, and that is helping your brain process things. It's very relaxing to your body. So, like when we're sleeping and we're in REM sleep, our eyes are doing this little, and I like to think of it as kind of like windshield wipers in our brain, just
Yeah.
kind of clearing everything out, as well as like reading and things like that. So I noticed that my mental health did kind of start to go down when I was there, which you would think would not be the thing in Bali.
In the middle of paradise.
Yeah, but I just was like, it could be like a very overwhelming place, and there was definitely some comparison and paralysis by
Oh,
overanalysis, in just like being a coach and having like other people with all these like success stories and whatnot. And then with the spirituality piece, it's like the Balinese are amazing people. They practice Hinduism. They're praying 3 times a day. There's a smell of incense in the air. But then there's also this juxtaposition of Western culture on top of that. And there's Australians and Russians and Europeans who are coming and building beautiful restaurants, creating beautiful centers and condos and whatnot. But it didn't sit well with me. And I got like a download when I was there that was just like a question that I had to ask myself of how can I realistically help people who are battling traffic every day, working 9 to 5, who are in, just it just was so far removed from real life and the people that I believe I am here to help that I just was like, I can't
yeah.
even relate to them. I'm on the other side of the world in paradise. Meanwhile, I'm just like wasn't thriving like I thought I was going to, which was so crazy. And my mission is to bridge spirituality and science together to make it feel more approachable and grounded for folks who are a little like woo-woo curious, but are like me and also want the science behind how some practices actually affect our biology, and then also bringing fitness and nutrition and seeing them as rituals. So I learned so much while I was there, a lot about myself and kind of seeing, what I liked and what I didn't like about what was happening around me. And I'll be honest too, like I am envious of people who could make it work in Bali. It just was like Bali is just kind of like she receives you and then she kind of sends you back out into the world. She's like, all right, go out and teach the people. So that I'm taking that more as like I'm grateful for that versus kind of feeling I had a moment of feeling like I failed. I was going to move to Bali, make my dream come true, and da, da, da. And now I'm grateful though because now I get to make my dream come true around friends and family and in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. Coming back home is so much more of appreciation for this beautiful place that I'm so lucky to have been born, raised in. Um, so I don't know if I answered your questions.
Yes, absolutely perfectly. So, one, I sort of was curious about, when we're traveling, when we're uprooting ourselves, moving to a new place, whatever, or when we're just staying in our own community but have never explored and tried to create some kind of routine or regular practice of physical care for ourselves, and how that works in another place. So, but hearing that at least where you were in Bali, I know that Bali has other, places. There's countryside there too, but
Yeah.
that it's very health focused. So that was definitely answered that. And I was also very interested in just your spiritual journey, how it was sort of prompted there.
Hmm.
But I really am because this is sort of where I am now, in that kind of everything I do is turning out to be a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
In that, whether it's, doing the dishes, I swear to Pete,
Same.
I
I
have
love.
serious, it's like an act of love when I am washing, my boyfriend's coffee mug. I think about him and how cute he is drinking out of his coffee mug, and, or the dinner that we made last night and cleaning up all the, it's like, um, I could get in there and be all, dishes, but I actually really enjoy it. And I've been working a lot and finding that I get just mentally exhausted, and going and doing laundry and folding clothes is such a welcome break to fold the towels so that they are ready for, I mean, it's just the little things, but really creating a deep mindfulness around them, and especially with how we care for our body.
Mhm.
And I know for me, before bariatric surgery, I did not care for my body. I ate pretty well. I always have taken supplements and, all of that. But I didn't appreciate deeply how this form carries me through life,
Mhm.
how it lets me be independent, how, I mean, just all of the things, to
Mhm.
just cultivate all of that gratitude such that it inspires me to continue caring. So that's sort of where I am really going now and diving. And it seems like that's sort of the place that you are. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really interested to hear about your upcoming retreat,
Yeah.
and if it seems like that's sort of a component. Am I
Yes,
wrong?
I'm so excited about it. And I want to say though, I too, there's something so grounding and calming about doing the dishes. And when I was in Bali and I wasn't doing my dishes because I was ordering in because you could just get very lovely, healthy meal prep all the time. And I was renting a place that I didn't have a kitchen. So when I got to the next spot and I had a kitchen and I was able to do dishes, I was like, I am so grateful. Like it's grounding, it's this repetitive thing. You have the warm water, and you don't have your phone in your hand.
So true. Yeah.
Yes.
So
And same
true.
with
Yeah.
laundry. Yeah. And I think it's just so beautiful how you said it. It's just all about intention. It's all about having a little bit of gratitude of, oh my God, to make this delicious meal and nourish my body and spend time with someone I love. And now I get to do like, look at all these beautiful fluffy towels, and I think
So
that
true.
I kind of went through this little phase of being like, oh, it's just so silly, or like, oh, that's childish. But it's like, no, I think it's just inherently coming back to that spirituality that is inside of all of us. One of my favorite quotes is, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are
Oh,
spiritual beings having a human experience. And
yeah.
so with my upcoming retreat, when I went to Bali and hosted my first retreat, I was like, oh my God, who doesn't want to go to Bali? And I just created a killer itinerary, sound baths and massages and holy water temples and all these things. And it was a blast. And also, I realized that I did not share any of my philosophies. And I really want to educate and empower people so that when they do come to my retreats, they leave with something that's tangible and it lights a fire, but also giving them tools to then stoke that fire and have it really change their lives. Yes, I want them to have a great time and feel so taken care of and make memories, but I also want it to be, when people choose to work with me, I take that very seriously and I'm honored and I want to give them my best. So my next retreat is actually called the anti-retreat retreat
Yes.
because it's not just a weekend getaway. We're not escaping for our everyday lives and then having this beautifully curated experience that feels unsustainable when we get home.
Right.
Really want it to be something that is a lifestyle sustainable change. So there's 2 weeks of pre-retreat embodiment work, and I just finished up the workbook. I'm so excited about it. We've got visualization and journal prompts, and just really going into the how and why around gratitude, what it actually does on a cellular level, why change can be so hard, and why actually when you're feeling that little bit of resistance or that self-doubt or that little like temptation to self-sabotage, that's actually such good news. And you are on the precipice of actually getting on the other side and making that
Yes.
change. So I just think that's so much, it's so empowering to know that that's what's going on and that's how you facilitate change and things. So we've got the 2 weeks of free retreat embodiment work to lay foundation and really kind of get those neural pathways kind of going. And then we have 3 nights in Manzanita, Oregon, October 2nd.
Love Manzanita. I
Oh,
love Manzanita.
girl, this house is so beautiful. 2 privates and 2 bunk rooms with 4 people per room. Hot tub, beautiful kitchen, and I am having a private chef. My good friend Shannon is going to come in, and because I am not a chef and I cook for, I can eat very simple. I'm cool with that. But I also am like, but I do want to like treat myself, but I want to eat beautiful things, but also making them simple and convenient so you can consistently, sustainably do them.
Yeah.
And then workshops. I have one I'm working on called Embodied Alchemy, how to turn anxiety into aligned action. And it's just going to be really special. Of course, we're going to get some workouts in and a hike in, but it's really going to be about community, connection, and hands on experiences. And after the retreat, you have 30 days of one-on-one coaching with me to really solidify and integrate these practices back into real life. So it's actually a 6-week embodiment process with a 3-day retreat in the middle.
Boom. That is where it is at.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so glad.
My only complaint is this.
Okay.
You always have these badass retreats when I am not available. And
Oh,
I am telling you, I put pictures from your Bali retreat in my Pinterest under I made a special board called Badass Retreats. And I wanted to go to Bali so bad. And then I would so love to do your Manzanita retreat and this whole idea of embedding, and this is what I'm doing with my next coaching program is having pre-work that leads up to an intensive. And I do like the getting away. I do like where you have to leave your family, you leave your job, you leave your distractions, and you come and you are immersed. But I do think that there's, like you say, some benefit to laying the groundwork so that we arrive immersing sort of in a coordinated way, right? And then have kind of it just primes you for such transformation at that time, and then keeping it going and touch points to make sure that you don't leave the transformation at the retreat site. You actually bring it back into your life because you've started before and now you're even stronger moving forward. I just love that integration of all of it. You are genius.
thank you. I mean, it's like you said, we're priming. because it's like you're just kind of going in and putting a band-aid on a bullet wound, and it's like if you're burnt out and you've been like wanting to change for a long time, and it's all this like push and pull, then you come in, you have a weekend away, you get this fire lit, you have this moment of inspiration and motivation, and then a few weeks later it just kind of fizzles out. So that's what I saw was lacking in the retreat space. And I also it this retreat is also for people who, they feel like they've been doing the work, like people that they're not, they're, so I feel like sometimes too, we can get so wrapped up in doing the work, and it's like the inner work and the outer work and then this work and then that work, but it's not a information problem. It's an implementation problem. So it's also a chance to slow down and actually give yourself time to put into practice what you've been learning.
Yeah.
Because that's just, and like the all or nothing, like you were mentioning, we're
Yeah.
prone to that as humans, all or nothing and burning out and pendulum
Right.
swinging. So we're just finding,
And I think, this word embodiment just gets thrown around a lot. And, what does it even mean? I don't, I'm not even sure. I mean, to me, I really feel like it's about bringing our learning into our body,
yes.
right? Putting it into practice. But like you say, we're doing the work, we're going through the motions, we're showing up at the gym, but are we really present for it?
Right.
Or are we on our phones? Or you know, are we just phoning it in, as people say?
Well, and I
And
feel like we're always kind of like just rushing through one thing to get to the next thing,
yeah,
to get to the next thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I feel this, we were talking about this before. I feel this movement of people now realizing that it's got to be deeper somehow, but I don't really know how to get there. How do I bring that in and live it? How do I make it not just a practice, but a sacred ritual?
Yeah.
And how do I bring the sacred into my regular routine? How do I make, picking up dog poop in the yard into a sacred experience? But
Romanticize those
it
days.
can happen. It's got to be done. And every opportunity, I think, like you say, you can really take it to the next level.
I think it's all about bringing like play and fun and imagination and magic back into the process. And I like to tell people too, we don't always love the process, but we're going to love the progress.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. So, when is your retreat? Do you still have spaces open?
I do. So the pre-retreat work is going to start 2 weeks before the retreat. That's September 19th. And then the retreat is on October 2nd to the 5th in Manzanita, Oregon.
Yeah.
I am already manifesting perfect 67-degree weather. I feel like October has been so nice the last few years, and I think it's just going to be perfect. I can't.
Well, we'll be sure and link all of the linkables
Great.
in the show notes and whatnot. So, if there are people that are interested and want to be a part of your magic, they
Yes.
can check it out.
Any questions, comments? I'm here for all
Perfect.
of it. I'm just a DM away.
Awesome. Awesome. Girl, it has been so good to catch up with you.
I blacked
And
out. You good?
I feel, yeah, I know. I was thinking of that the other day. I blacked out for a minute. But honestly, I appreciate that, um, our paths met. It crossed at a really interesting time
Yeah.
and has sort of stayed in the sort of the same general direction. And I love that. I
We're
love
doing
that
the
for
things we
us.
said we were going to do. And who would have known it would have looked like this? But
Right? So true. So true. All right. Well, hopefully we can catch up and I don't even want to say luck, but I want to see all of the posts and all of the magic that happens in your Manzanita retreat, but also, during the pre-work and the after work. It's going to be amazing for anybody.
No,
And
absolutely.
dang, I wish I could go.
We're gonna stay in touch. We're gonna stay in touch, and I hope you can make it to
Awesome.
the next one because there's gonna
Yes,
be more.
please.
You know,
Yes, please.
I've been saying, I'm like, I'm not writing Bali off. She had a strong dose of medicine for me that last time, so we'll be back.
Bless her heart. All right. Take good care.
All right, thanks, Dee Dee. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, after all of that yumminess, just take a deep breath with me right now and check in with yourself. Just imagine if movement could feel like care, not correction, not fixing something that's imperfect in some way. But what if it could be something luxurious, some extra love that you add to something that's already beautiful, like sprinkles on a smoothie? What if your rituals didn't need to be sexy or social media worthy? They were just yours. Just notice what comes up for you when you ask yourself those things and think about it. If you're curious about how to work with Carlee or attending her anti-retreat retreat, yes, it's called the Anti-Retreat Retreat. Check the show notes for all the links. I'll have them for you there. And if this episode sparked something in you, forward it on to a friend who's also on a healing journey. We're doing things differently here, and we're doing them together. So until next time, stay wild.